In terms of insider trading, this is probably the clearest message yet from the government that it will not be tolerated. Do you think it's an effective message?
I think if deterrence in criminal law enforcement ever works, this is an example of where deterrence can work. I think there are all kinds of people who play close to the edge, who wake up, read this morning's headlines, or more accurately, read yesterday's headlines online and said, this is something I don't want to get involved with. But another really important point is I think we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that Stephen Cohen is completely off the hook. That's where things stand today. There are still pending insider trading prosecutions involving his former subordinates. The key one to keep an eye on is Martoma.
Yeah, he's going to trial in November, right?
He's going to trial in November. That's still several months for young Mr. Martoma to think and rethink how long he might want to spend in prison and whether that amount of time could be diminished if he turned on his former boss. So I don't think Stephen Cohen should be sleeping easy at night thinking that he's completely past that. Second, it's not just a question of hundreds of millions of dollars that stand to be lost. Alongside the criminal indictment, there are civil money laundering allegations pending, and the government's theory is that all those illicit profits are completely commingled with all of SAC's money, and the government is actually going after billions here, not just hundreds of millions.
If they are going after to get a guilty conviction of someone, are they benefited by just the process alone, whether someone ends up guilty or not guilty? Is the process so damaging to all that it's just about the process and not the end result of a court agreement? The
indictment of the company as a corporate entity is itself, in this case, I think, a death penalty. This company cannot exist as a company that takes in institutional investments. Now, can it exist as Stephen Cohen's family office sometime in the future? Yes, it can, but not in as its current form.
Actually, let's listen to what Preet Bharara actually said yesterday when when he handed down the indictment. This is Preet Bharara.
Today's indictment, though, is not just a narrative of names and numbers. It is more broadly an account of a firm with zero tolerance for low returns, but seemingly tremendous tolerance for questionable conduct. And so SAC became, over time, a veritable magnet for market cheaters.
Questionable conduct, magnet for market cheaters. Was Stephen Cohen's shop really that different from other aggressive hedge funds on Wall Street?
Well, that's a question I can't answer because other aggressive hedge funds haven't had their phones tapped and haven't had the FBI working over their low and mid-level traders. But what we know about SAC is that you've got 6 portfolio managers who have pled guilty, who have admitted that they were insider trading. You've got a couple more cases pending, and you've got a lot of damning evidence.
But to that point, you really can't underestimate the symbol that SAC stood for. It was one of the most successful hedge funds, legendary hedge fund manager Stephen Cohen, who made himself extremely wealthy with much higher returns than the average in the industry.
That's true, and that attracted attention. But what also attracted his attention was in 2005, 2006, 2007, as he was becoming the legend that he became, they explicitly marketed themselves as having what they called an edge.
Right.
They were signaling that we are pushing it. And that is in part why people were investing, because they thought that this is a firm that really goes for it, that hires sharp young people who've got the edge. What is the edge code language for? That's that's not deep analysis. That's not PhD in analyzing the market.
It's access.
That's access. And that line is a dangerous line to walk.
Well, Paul Barrett, SAC has responded in saying that they took compliance very seriously. It'll be interesting to see how hard they fight this criminal indictment.
Yes, it will.